be wondering, what's this got to do, though, with today's text? Well, in the Sermon on the Plain, right after Jesus talking about loving our enemies, he goes into what we're going to read right now. And I think when we read this text, you'll see what this has got to do with it. Now, my whole purpose of wearing this and doing that was to try to get your attention. So maybe you'll listen now. Of course, I think most of you listen anyway. All right, here's our text. It's taken from Luke chapter 6, verses 37 through 42. This is what it says. Do not judge, and you will not be judged. Do not condemn, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, will be poured into your lap. For with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. He also told them this parable. Can a blind man lead a blind man? Will they not both fall into a pit? A student is not above his teacher, but everyone who is fully trained will be like his teacher. And then he shares this most funny, comical, but real parable. Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, brother, let me take the speck out of your eye, when you yourself fail to see the plank in your own eye? You hypocrite. First, take the plank out of your eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye. So it's all talking about judge and judgment there, right? And judging. So now you can see kind of where, as soon as I read that passage, that thing, here comes the judge, came to my mind. I couldn't get it out of my mind. So I said, I reckon I'm going to use that. A judge is someone who presides over court proceedings, and he issues a ruling or judgment based on his interpretation of the law. Now, judges are important in the judicial branch of our government and any government throughout the world. And we have, hopefully, orderly and somewhat just societies based on the rule of law. And that's important. Judges often are elected. Sometimes they can be appointed. But as important as judges in the judicial system are, even some of them can be corrupt, can't they? But Jesus is really not even talking about that kind of judge. Jesus is talking about the judge in the court of sanctimoniosity. Have you ever heard that word before? You've never heard the word sanctimoniosity. Well, you know what? I didn't think you would, because I made it up. But it does come from the word that you have heard, sanctimonious. Sanctimonious means to be hypocritically pious or devout, pretending and thinking oneself to be morally better than other people. Maybe having more religious devoutness as well. As a result, people who are sanctimonious sometimes feel qualified to judge the behaviors and the morality of others based on their own perceived morality or behavior. And Jesus told us what this kind of judge is. Nothing more than a self-righteous hypocrite. The Greek word for hypocrite is actor, or the Greek word for actor, rather, is translates to hypocrite. So a hypocrite is somebody who pretends to be or thinks he is something he's not. And here's the thing about the judges in the court of sanctimoniosity. You know who appoints them? Themselves. Have you ever thought about that? They appoint themselves. That's why when you see somebody like that coming, you shout, lock the door, hide the key. The judge is coming, and he's coming for thee. But see, the reason is because they have this attitude, which is what another Sammy Davis Jr. meme. You can testify, but you can't win, because I'm here to tell you you're guilty of sin. Okay, we laugh about that stuff, and we can have some fun, but people are like that. Sometimes church people are like that. And that last parable that Jesus shared is a comical description to illustrate exactly what we're talking about this morning. So the question is, have you ever been a judge? Have you ever appointed yourself judge in the court of sanctimoniosity? Have you ever done that? Well, maybe I can help you out here. Have you ever made any comments like these? And of course, when I say you, I got three fingers pointing back at me. Y'all remember that? He's an able-bodied young man. He needs to get a job and go to work. If she didn't spend her money or his money on cigarettes or drugs or alcohol, she could afford to buy food and pay the rent. Maybe you've said this before. He picks up food from ACIM and drives a better car than I do. Maybe you've heard this one. Those LGBTQ people are the cause of the moral decline in our country. Here's one I bet you. My children wouldn't behave that way. They need to be rounded up and shipped back to Mexico or wherever it is. They're here illegally anyway. And they're the ones responsible for the crime in our community. And then this one. Anybody who looks like that is bound to be trouble. Have you ever heard or made any statement similar? Now, here's a couple more I want to share that are particularly relevant to today. Those liberal, socialist Democrats don't even care about our country and want to give everything away. But on the other hand, you probably heard this. Those conservative Republicans are nothing more than